Hello, everyone. Um, Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. So today, um, I I don't find much entries to trade, and the market is bouncing back into the declining 9 EMA. So yeah, I was thinking SpaceX. Yeah, but certain names are looking fine and holding up during this pullback pretty well. But at the same time, there are also many names that is breaking down either on the daily or the weekly time frame that I don't like. So right now it's a little bit like undecided, in my opinion. So I don't have a really strong opinion on the market direction. So yeah, maybe it's time to step back a little bit. And for the 2 days, the reason why I didn't stream is I'm actually not on the screen from the past 2 days at the first 15 minutes or like 30 minutes after the open, because I headed to the Line concerts, the farewell concerts in the past 2 days, and in Hong Kong. So I think that will be a really precious opportunity. So and then I just leave all my tradings away and just enjoy the show. Uh, Especially for the first day when the market is killing the semis. I think on Wednesday. Uh, yeah, like the concert ends at around like 9:45 or like 10, and then the second that I leave the concert hall and pull up my phone, and most of the semi names are already down like 4%, 5%, and I missed the exit. So the concerts like kinda uh pulls me in the like in a like a 4 or 5% drawdown, like a further drawdown that I could probably get less when I'm like trading at the screen, but I have no complaints on that because I have decided to abort the trading, to stay off the screen days ago. So, and I think that yeah, that's part of it. Whose concerts? Codaline, uh, a band from Ireland. Were you looking at SpaceX for a potential short if it rallied and failed 9 EMA? I was thinking shorting it, yeah, at the open, but it kind of hesitated, and I yeah, because I kind of just I got a like a 25% drawdown from the peak equity. So my thought is I'm gonna start playing a bit defensive again, and it's also good to like to slow down a bit and really, because I'm not feeling uh yeah, I don't have a really a strong opinion on the market direction. So maybe I think it's better to let me feel the dynamic of the market a little bit first, and before I get aggressive again, and before putting some trades. I think this yeah, from in the past few days, looking back is pretty good lesson learned again, and especially when you're doing good, probably not gonna perform at your uh like at your 100%, at your really like A games or like A plus games. Yeah, I think I'm gonna sell some circle right here. Like the Bitcoin and Ethereum is getting into the weekly 50. And we got a huge, like a 30% move from the lows, and in just 3 days. And yeah, I think it would be great to peel some off, especially because I'm like now, just I just got a drawdown, so it's probably like you can tell like I will be playing a little bit more aggressive on taking the profits, or like getting a little bit defensive on getting the entries. And that's how I like adapt or like rotate during the market, different market environments, or my my equity curve performance. And I think is pretty important. Yeah, I'm gonna sell some. Yeah, and talking about the MSTR and BMNR, yeah, because I I I always said that I often get too early on certain trade ideas, and I think Bitcoin, this one is the one that really illustrates like the whole process behind it. Like I really try to look longing the MSTR and BMNR a few days, or maybe one week, a week or two before this spike. And MSTR I got stopped out because it was, yeah, pretty weak. Like BMNR, I kind of exited early. Like I believe my entry was probably on this day and setting at the day low. So if I'm keep using the day low stop, then probably I will be still on this trade. But I remember I closed it on either on maybe on this day or somewhere, yeah, before this dip. But and then I felt to bought it back again. Uh, yeah, looking back, probably because I'm like too focused on the other trade ideas like the softwares or some semis AI names, and just lost the focus on the like the Bitcoin and the crypto play. And probably should be a little bit more focused on the crypto trade, on the crypto uh idea. And yeah, even a long like coin, I mean, somewhere maybe back here or back here, and yeah, too early always. But that's lesson learned again. Gonna Yeah, gonna improve on your own mistakes. And I think for this the crypto spike, uh it also shows the importance of like looking back at the charts. And I think many traders like yeah, I got some questions a few days or a few weeks back then, like why am I looking at the cryptos names like they're looking bad, like below the 50 EMA, not not finding any momentum at all. And but like cryptos are the ones that when that is going really fast when they're starting to get a bounce off the lows, of the bottoms. Like most of them are the lockout rally that you probably would miss out after you realize the breakouts or the of the spike. And that you have to be really fast, or even like plan your trades before it really just break out from a certain high. Like you kind of have to like anticipate it a little bit, like before breaking the previous swing high or the highs here. So yeah, I think every taker or every uh assets will have their own like character. So it's important to like really know what they tend to do, and I think it will really helps your trading by adjusting to the character of that particular asset. And it is, I think the crypto, this one, it really is a really good example of that. And like even I am kind of like looking at the cryptos a few days, a few weeks ago, I still got caught out from the move. Like although I'm not like really sitting in front of the screen during the like really focused on trading from the past when it was when it was breaking out, but still I think I would, it's hard for me to like really get into the MSTR or like BMNR on Wednesday. It's going straight up after the open, and it just feels like this a similar day to the previous bounce days that eventually gonna roll over, gonna fail, gonna reverse lower. But yeah, Wednesday when it does getting follow through, like it is going. You trade commodity stocks or biotechs. You're looking at some of the mega not biotechs or health ones. Yeah, I know there's a huge EP on mRNA. That is one of the craziest EP ever. Yeah, I think the bigger names that I did trade. Yeah, even like this mRNA, I think I traded back in 2021, and commodity that I will also like traded a lot in 2022. So I yeah, I did trade them, and I also like found some interesting names on the screens, like in the past few days, like this I think this CAI is one of the interesting names that I found, although it's not trading really liquid, but it got a pretty decent chart that is coming out from the low, and a strong follow through after the EP, after the earnings, and also include this IOM and this twist, because like for the biotech, most of them were like trading below around like $100 million volume per day, or like somewhere between 100 to 200 million. So really not very liquid uh, for my criteria. Yeah, but I will keep an eye on some of the like the more liquid names, and especially the ones that is maybe like merging with the AI theme together with the biotech theme. I think that would be the ones that I would like to trade a little bit more, like maybe like TAM. Today we got a pretty decent breakout on copper names, and gold and silver is now coming back in the previous range and back above the weekly EMAs, and I believe there will be a great opportunities on the short side, maybe a few weeks or months later, that I will try to remind myself on this idea. Probably gonna forget it, but like when I think when gold and silver topped at such a parabolic run, like 2011, after this top, we got a pretty long sideways actions where it got chopped on the weekly, and then eventually losing the 9 and 21, and then we got a breakdown. And for the gold, I think back in 1980 we got a similar situation. So we got after the parabolic run, we got a dip, we got a mini version to the 50 weekly, and then reclaimed the weekly EMAs and then failed again, and then we got a pretty decent downtrend. Even here, we also like go sideways at the top and losing the 9 and 21 again, and then the breakdown. Hopefully I can catch this one probably a few weeks, even months later. But I don't know whether I'm. If you guys remember, please remind me on this one. I'm going to set the alert on you guys. Hope. This oracle looks like it's breaking out. I was thinking shorting this one, but I didn't find any resistance of the declining 9 of the previous highs, and now it's looking pretty good. That's I think I would consider, like, if it can close, get a strong close, it would be a good candidate for the longs. And the software IGV is doing pretty well today. This Octa is pulling back into the anchor viewer from the EP. Yeah, I kind of like the cyber pullback into the weekly EMAs orders and the anchor viewer again. Yeah, but I'm gonna hold back a little bit. Like, yeah, not. I think I'm not gonna trade this pullback and see how they react. Like, if they can find a strong support of the lows, then it will be a really positive sign. But if not, then and I think it's fine, like, to really skip some trades when the market is a little bit undecided in a choppy. And I really thought you would have caught mRNA 1 minute chart. I wasn't at the screen, so probably no. And I think looking back, the best entry to me, either on this green candle or this red pullback candle, is probably at the anchor fee web at the open, or not even reach the anchor fee up. So maybe on this green candle around, yeah, maybe. But I was I was enjoying the music in 9:35, so that's probably the second last song or the last during the last song on of the concert. I was waiting for Oracle to have a pullback after breakouts to get in with tight risk. How would you go about entering this one? Preferably a pullback, like again into the, like, maybe the previous swing high or the daily 9. If we got a good breakout on the IGV, yeah, it's looking really good actually. So if we got a pretty good breakout, maybe tomorrow, not tomorrow, like on next Monday or next week, could be buying the breakouts, or like even like buying the gap up, or I don't know, like the opening range breakouts on the gap up. It is possible if we see some strength. And SNDK is looking pretty good. Like, it's tight here and above the 9 and all the EMAs. Like, it's been a while that is, like, looks like getting like a double inside 8 above all the EMAs. Not yeah, I think definitely it could be like a fake out, or like a, but I mean the stop is like it would be really tight, and yeah, I don't really care if it's gonna trap me or not. And the quantum names, I thought they're going to find a resistance and then reversing down, but it looks like they're not. The semis remains kind of weak today, but so far they had hold up, like they've been finding support at this bar low, and also this unfilled gap. And yeah, but right now it's definitely not a good looking charts. And I also one thing that I learned from the semis breakdown is I to me, like personally, I would treat this type the recent gap down and like the weakness a good chart example on a like on how a stock or how a ticker would behave or would react after the first bounce from a parabolic from a parabolic run or like a climax run. And yeah, actually, like I like to me, but before the semis gap down or this recent pullback, I already like have an understanding of like generally the first bounce after such a parabolic run we have a really low win rate of like getting a really good follow through or even like a V-shaped recovery and start the next uptrend right after the pullback, right after the stock has stopped from a explosive run. Yeah, just like what I've just talked about on the gold and silver. I think they're the same. Yeah, they have the same logic behind. But definitely like the one with gold and silver are the one are really much more extreme in terms of the volatility and how extended they got. I think it's looking a little bit similar to like where the Qs has done back in 2021. That we also got a pretty decent uptrend, like a several months uptrend, and we got extended, and we got a really quick flush to the downside, and then in the Qs looks like it's going to like getting a V-shaped recovery uh, from the lows, but eventually it has to build a second leg down and go sideways for like a month and a half or like 2 months before starting the next uptrend. Yeah, I'm thinking on building this basics, but I'm waiting for the better entry. And for the for the cryptos, I'm not sure whether I should close my circle position right now because generally when they got a pretty good spike and after that it's gonna be a chop or a consolidation period or for around like a few weeks to even one one or 2 months, like somewhere back here, somewhere back here. Mm, my my handling on this circle trade probably, yeah, probably I'm gonna trail it with the 60 minutes like 50 EMA. Yeah, just trying to get an idea on this previous uh, rally. Yeah, but I'm not sure because this time the rally on the cryptos are much faster than the previous rally, and after such a like a quick and powerful rally that they tend to not getting much follow through. Like they tend not to do much after such a strong days. But I don't know how Circle is going to react like on the chop on the consolidation period. So maybe it could like goes further higher with the possible software strength or anything. I don't know. Mm, yeah, I think I'm gonna throughout my remaining on the around the 50 EMA on the 60-minute chart, or you can only also say the daily 9, um, until maybe it reached the all-time high end of VWAP. Then maybe I will consider like really selling into strength near this area. Or if like tomorrow we got another gap up, like and go much further extended from the 9, then maybe I would consider like really selling it into strength if it gets further extended. Yeah, I kind of like these actions on all the indices on these 15 minutes, like on the lower time frames, and the strength on the quantum names are a little bit like quote unquote unusual to me. They shouldn't be that strong. Like technically, it's rallying into the like a multiple resistance area where the indices, where the EMAs are clustered and turning down. But I don't see much like for now. I don't see much bearish actions. Like if they can close strong today and also close strong into this weekly candle. Although like weekly is they're still below the declining EMAs, but at least on the daily that would be a, I don't know. I think it's still too early to tell. And this octa is bouncing off the lows. Yeah, I was thinking shorting this SpaceX, but I don't know. But to me, I kind of wanted to bounce a little bit higher, maybe back into the 50, the daily 50 the 60-minute 50 EMA, or the daily 9. And I still remember like back in like yeah, I think on this day, I kind of shorted it a little bit early, like back in the 1st of July. I think I also shorted at the like a 60-minute 9 EMA here, but eventually it stops me out and it gaps up into the declining 9 EMA on the next day. Actually, the next day here would be the best day for the entry on the short side, and it got a like it goes straight down afterwards. So yeah, and also like from the recent drawdown, I figured out that I think I did too much of the fair trades that are like the entries based on like the lower time frames. So I think I did too many of them, and they have a high lower win rate, higher failure rate. So yeah, I try to lower the amount of those trades and really trying to focus on the like at least the daily levels more, at least like preventing the like the fair trades. Are we getting the rejection on the quantum names? I really like this software section. I really like it, especially on a relatively weak day, and a lot of the names are looking very well, very nice. And the cybersecurity names looking to be a really good pullback buy today on the early morning flush into the weekly or the daily support. But I think most of them are getting their earnings a few days later. Not next. And they haven't followed the weekly 9 EMA as well. Yeah, and I think this is also the great lesson learned. That is when you're getting too heavily leveraged, that you probably would also need to like get rid of of some good or like good opportunities or the better names, because simply you don't want to take the larger drawdowns. So you have to get rid of some great names such as the cybersecurity names. But I think yeah, I'm going to be patient and wait for the next week. Can you please enable the transcript for your last video? Yeah, I got a lot of questions on the transcript, but I always enable the transcript, but I cannot manually add the transcripts. Like it takes time for YouTube to like do it automatically in the background. Probably it's gonna take maybe like sometimes a day, sometimes 2 to 3 days, and yeah, I think most of my streams are gonna get this transcript on maybe after a few days. Why HPQ is dropped? I think it's not yet stopped out. Yes, it's mainly because of the semi weakness. I know HPQ may not be like really semi related, but it's, yeah, but I think they're like more uh like AI related, and yeah, I could have hold it, but because I just as I said, I got a large drawdown, like a huge drawdown in my opinion. Like I'm really trying to limit my drawdown to like below 20% from the peak, but I'm it's sometimes you have to get a you have to you will get a large drawdown if you decide to hold a larger positions for a longer swing. Mm, yeah, but that's the setbacks. That's the trade-off that you probably you will get out of some of the better looking names, because just because you got a higher pressure on controlling your drawdown, on minimizing your drawdown. So how do you handle gap down at the day after you buy? Yeah, I probably just gonna let it let it out. Just let it stop me out at the open, and there's nothing I can do. Yeah, but it's because it's just really part of the game. But maybe you can trying to find some clues, like yeah, on I believe it's gonna be the semi names. Like why we would got a gap down on Tuesday? Like is there anything that we can that like prevent, or like at least to be a little bit aware of before we got an entry? Like um yeah, just as I said, the first bounce into the parabolic runs, like it's really powerful uptrend, and we got a it's like a three pushes top and a range chop at the top, and then yeah, a strong mean reversion. Maybe like you can the first bounce should not be that yeah, should not be that viable. Yeah, at least in my opinion. Maybe I'm a little bit too result oriented, or like trading in hindsight. But I like, in my opinion, I think it is true that generally we'll get a lower win rate on the first bounce after such a strong rally, and a pretty quick flush to the downside. Yeah. So I think yeah, this is the end of today's stream, and got a weekend. And if you're not doing well this week, like I got caught off guard this week on the gap down, take a break and get a reset, and be be prepared for the coming opportunities. Thank you guys for coming, and see you in the next one.